Where to find apricots in Arc Raiders. I'm going to show you a quick guide where to find them on every single map. I'll explain real quick why you need them and how many you need them, and I'll also give you my personal opinion where to farm them best and which areas you might want to avoid. Let's start off with why you need the apricots. The main reason and the main use case is Scrappy the chicken. After every round, no matter how it goes, Scrappy is there for you, and he's going to provide you with the basic materials: metal parts, fabric, plastic parts, chemicals, rubber parts, and assorted seeds. You can train Scrappy, I think, 4 or 5 times until it's maxed out to increase the loot that he brings after every round. So I highly recommend this. Even if you don't need all these, you can always sell them. The assorted seeds you can either sell or you can use them to trade materials with Celeste. A lot of the very basic materials are super important for crafting or sometimes even for quests. To upgrade Scrappy to the max level, you will in total need 15 apricots. That is the main use. You will need at least 15. Other than that, apricots are also used in the item fruit mix, which you can craft through in-round crafting or field crafting from the survival tree. I think the fruit mix is a little bit annoying to make, but overall it's kind of underrated because you can stack it with your bandages while your bandage is healing over time. You can use the fruit mix to instantly get 25 health and 50 stamina back. And then last but not least, obviously you can also just, eat them. It'll give you 20 stamina after 1 second. I, of course, recommend that if you have more than you need for Scrappy, either make a fruit mix out of it or sell them or recycle them into seeds and then use those seeds for further trading with Celeste or even sell them. Okay, so now we know you need at least 15 apricots to upgrade Scrappy to the final level. What do they actually look like? So this is an apricot tree. They look very similar to lemon trees, almost the same, almost identical, but one drops only apricots and one drops lemons. You'll find some of the fruit laying around the ground next to the trees, but you can also interact with the tree and kick it to shake down more. Usually it's just a one-time use. Sometimes you can kick it twice and get 2 apricots more. And now to the most important part, where do you actually find them? Let me show you. On Damn Battlegrounds, I'm only aware of one area where you can collect the apricots. On the east of Damn Battlegrounds, you have these 3 little islands in the Red Lake area. On all 3 of these islands, you'll find some of these trees and multiple, spawns for apricots on the ground, especially during the Lush Bloom event, and very, very little competition. This spot, in my opinion, is low risk and low contested. It's one of the best spots to get apricots. Not a lot of people know it even exists. Not a lot of people check out these islands at all. There's no quests here. People usually don't even go here. There's no loot zones or no apparent loot zones. Sometimes there's the queen here and it's kind of dangerous. You have a leaper patrolling and a rocketeer. This is just something a lot of people avoid or don't even know about. So in my opinion, low risk, high reward, and very uncontested. And even if there are other players, there's a lot of trees, bushes, and rocks to hide behind and run away to. There's an extraction point right here and a raider hatch right here. For me personally, probably the best way to get your apricots. That's already it for Damn Battlegrounds. Let's check out Buried City. Buried City probably has the best spawns and loot spots for prickly pears, which I will cover in another separate video. You're also going to need them for Scrappy, by the way. Buried City is going to be another map where there's only one active loot spawn point for apricots. At least I only found these. Let me know down in the comments if you found more. And it's right in the middle of the Morano Park right here. It's a little park. Usually there's a leaper or a bastion patrolling, so care about that. But there are multiple trees, 4 or 5 trees where you can loot the apricots. Now this, I think, is also a very low contested area, but high risk. Why high risk? Because there are multiple high loot and medium loot zones right in the area, right? So the hospital, the library, the parking garage, all these have multiple quests. They have really good loot spawns and loot areas. So a lot of people are going to be jumping around here or trying to cross into these buildings. And you're fairly in the opening. And on top of that, there is usually a bastion or a leaper patrolling, plus a couple of hornets flying around. Sometimes even a rocketeer coming from the southwest. So yes, you can find them on Buried City. So if you need to do something on Buried City anyways, you can combine it or try to get them. There's also an extraction point right here. So you can instantly, grab the apricots and try to extract. But I would say this is high risk area. Next up, let's check out Spaceport. Spaceport is another interesting map because you wouldn't really think that there's a lot of fruits on this map or plants in general, but there are some really underrated areas. For example, the trench where you can find mushrooms in the south, and you can find a lot of greater melon, but that's another topic for some other video. Let's focus on the apricots. On Spaceport, there's actually surprisingly a couple good spots to loot them from. I don't know every single spot. Maybe there are some others as well. Feel free to comment down below and, help each other out. If you found another spot, these are just the ones marked on this website, plus the ones that I checked out for myself. For example, I know for sure that in this trench, there are 1 or 2 trees that do have apricots. So if you're in the area, you can definitely check it out. I didn't find a tree up here in the north where this sign is, but I definitely found a couple down here. I think there's 4 or 5 trees where you can easily collect 5 to 10 apricots if you're lucky. There's also an extraction point right here. So if you have any spawn in the outer layer near this and you still need apricots, you could check out this location right here in the northern eastern part of the map and instantly extract as well. When it comes to how contested it is, I would give this a very low rating as well. I don't even think that a lot of people are aware that this exists and that there are trees here, apricot trees in the trench, and trees out here to loot apricots from. So mostly I would say this is super uncontested. Risk-wise, I think up here is very low risk, and here we are at medium risk because it is an extraction point and people will gravitate to extract here. Plus, you have this warehouse right here, where a lot of people might go to loot. You have the control tower here, which is quite near. And of course, you have high vantage points all over the map that can oversee a lot of, also people can be on this wall here. And let's not forget, there are a lot of spawn points in the outskirts of the map. So for example, if you're starting here, someone is starting here, someone here, and you're all trying to run towards this direction, you might be looting here and get shot from top or bottom. But in general, if you spawn in early, I think this is really uncontested. I don't think there's anyone here that will specifically, interact with the trees or try to look for apricots on the ground. So if you're lucky, you can have a free loot zone right here. Next up, Blue Gate. This is probably the best map when it comes to spawn in general or loot in general for plants and fruits, but it's also highly contested. On Blue Gate, there are 2 major spots. On the one side, in the south, you have the olive grove, and up here you have the village. Between the villages, there is this little garden area where there are so many apricot, lemon, and olive trees. It is crazy how much actually spawns, and same down here in the olive grove. There are also, I think, 3 or 4 trees that you can loot. There's also olives and lemons. These 2 spots probably out of all the other maps drop the most, but I would say this spot right here is high risk and high contested, and this right here is medium contested and medium risk. A lot of people have figured out that in these residential areas is actually decent loot. So unlike the first 2 weeks of the game where a lot of people didn't even show up in this area and this was absolutely free loot, no one was here, I would be a little bit more careful now because there will be a couple people in the houses trying to loot everything, and if they hear or see you outside just happily picking flowers, then they might try to PvP you. And down here, the olive grove is probably the most contested outside area of this map because so many people gravitate here for the quests. There's a leaper here, it's easy access to a couple of extractions. So this, only go in with a squad, or if you're ready for PvP. If you just want to sneak in and out and get some apricots to finish your Scrappy quest, I would definitely recommend going to the north, to the village. And then last but not least, new map, Stella Montis. This is all inside and underground, so probably not that many trees, right? And how do we get the apricots here? Well, there is actually a pretty good spot, and let me show you where. So where you want to go is in the southern part, in the atrium, between the lobby and the cultural archives and the loading bay, right here in the cafeteria. Go into these rooms right here. You're going to need a fuel cell or like a battery, put it in one of the doors, and then you'll unlock a little room with wicker baskets. In these wicker baskets, you'll find all sorts of plant-based loot like mushrooms, olives, lemons, and apricots. So if you're exploring this new map and you still need some apricots, try to see if you can find a battery, open the door, and get those damn fruits for yourself. A little bonus at the end, there are certain events on maps, and if you see the event Lush Blooms with this icon, the nightshare icon, you should definitely consider going on that map for your apricots. Lush Bloom is a map modifier that increases the amount of nature loot and wicker baskets that can be found on the map. And in these wicker baskets, you will always find an abundance of fruits or plants. That is it from my side. I hope I could help you out a little bit to finally upgrade that spoiled chicken. And yeah, happy looting and see you in the next one.